Nationalism has only made itself felt in campaigns of non-cooperation. Where there have been riots in locations like these, they've generally been caused by bad conditions. 2 days before South Africa became a republic, a stay-away strike was organized throughout the country in protest. But most Africans went to work. 10,000 of them were arrested before the strike began. The army was fully mobilized, and an African knows he can be jailed for 3 years if he dares to strike. I went to see the man who organized this stay-away, a 42-year-old African lawyer, Nelson Mandela, the most dynamic leader in South Africa today. The police were hunting for him at the time, but African nationalists had arranged for me to meet him at his hideout. He is still underground. This is
According to the ANC, the African National Congress, in 1990, after Nelson Mandela was released from prison, they say he's fulfilled every expectation we had for him in his role as a leader towards freedom. Nelson Mandela was willing to die for his beliefs and his ideas for integration and equality. Born son of a Tembu tribal chieftain in South Africa, he renounced his right to succeed his father as chieftain and got into politics. He went to school, he went to college, he became a lawyer, and then he joined the ANC, the African National Congress. In 1962, Nelson Mandela was arrested for his opposition of the apartheid policies that they had, of racial, political, and economic discrimination in South Africa. Today, first, Leilani, she will talk about why we chose Nelson Mandela. Second, I will explain the significance of Nelson Mandela and his speeches. Third, Ernie will show you the similarities between Nelson Mandela's speaking skills and the communication concepts that we learned in class. And finally, David will share with you why Nelson Mandela inspired us as well as others around the world. To begin, Leilani will talk to you guys about why we chose Nelson Mandela.
Born on July 18, 1918. In the homeland of Transkei, our speaker spent most of his childhood years cattle herding and doing other rural pursuits. After his father's death, he landed a high-honored position by becoming the ward of Jongtinava Baliendo, the paramount chief of the Tembu people. He continued his education, but it was not until he left the Missionary College of Fort Hare when our speaker first got involved with politics and student protests against white colonial rule of institution. Shortly after, our speaker joined a law firm in Johannesburg as an apprentice. According to an article on the Time 100 Most Important People of the Century, written on April 13, 1998 by Andre Brink, they stated successful revolutions during this time were dim. However, Nelson Mandela was prepared to live the life of sacrifice and suffering with little hope of success in a country in which centuries of colonial rule had concentrated all political and military posers, all access to education, and most wealth in the hands of the white minority. In our speaker's eyes, victory was in the eye of the beholder, and giving up was not an option. His key approach was nonviolence as a strategy. He joined the Youth League of the African National Congress and became involved in programs of passive resistance against the laws that forced blacks to carry passes and kept them in a position of permanent servitude. But the government would not resist and increased a massive treason trial against main opponents. Mandela was one of them. The trial went on for 5 years and 156 people were accused. However, during this time, our speaker went underground for more than a year in hopes of enlisting supports for the African National Congress, which was originally banned by the government. After his return, it wasn't long before he was then arrested and sentenced to imprisonment on the Robben Island for 5 years. Within months, most leaders of the ANC were arrested. Soon after that, our speaker was hauled from prison to face an almost certain death penalty. It was then when he said the following speech. During my lifetime, I have dedicated myself to the struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I I have cherished the ideal of democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. After his infamous speech, Mandela returned to Robben Island, and Time quotes, Mandela expressed most remarkably, after that, a system of self-education, which earned the prison the appellation of Island University. Each morning, there were prisoners that were assigned to certain teams, and they would be educated in subjects such as philosophy, education, mathematics, etc. Mandela recalls with pride his action in the role. Mandela spent more than 2 decades in prison, and to his day is known as the most famous prisoner in the world. Time reports that he was actually escorted to the state's president's office to start negotiating not only his own release, but also the nation's transition from apartheid to democracy. On February 2nd, 1990, President F.W. de Klerk lifted the ban on the ANC and announced Mandela's release. After his release, our speaker took on the responsibilities and continued to religiously contribute in the makings of helping making this world a better place. He approached many scandals and bumps on the road, but his quest was always clear. Time adds that Mandela proves through his own example that faith, hope, and charity are qualities attainable by humanity as a whole. Through his willingness to walk the road of sacrifice, he has reaffirmed our common potential to move toward a new age, which is why we chose Nelson Mandela, for his courageous efforts and willingness to never give up. Now Jeremy will discuss Nelson Mandela's speeches and how they are significant.